Andrea, we are live.
Oh, sorry.
Welcome to NNN Netcom News Network. I am Abigail Kassar.
And I am Andrea Salazar.
Announcements. We celebrated Random Acts of Kindness Week by sharing some treats with teachers on our kindness card. They loved it so much, we think it should be a student council tradition. Kindness Week is over, but that doesn't mean we should stop. Remember to make kindness the norm.
This week is Read Across America Week, where we celebrate reading each day of this week. We will be a reminder that reading is for everyone. Let's start up this celebration by hearing from some of our teachers here at NetCon about their favorite books and why they love to read.
Hi friends, Miss Firsch here. For my book talks today, I wanted to talk about the book Holes by Louis Sachar. This was one of my favorite books when I was in middle school, and it is still one of my favorite books today. I love the adventure, and I love the changes that the characters go through throughout the story. What's neat about this book is while I was reading it in middle school, it actually became a movie. They took the book and they created a screenplay. Now, the book is different from the movie, so I suggest you read the book first because the book is always better. But if you like adventure books or you like seeing characters who go through a big change, this is definitely a book for you.
Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Collins, and I'm here to talk about one of my all-time favorite books called Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. I do a lot of reading, and I have to say this is one of my top 5 books of all time that I've ever read. It's actually a nonfiction book based on the life of a man named Louis Zamperini, who was born in the year 1917, and he accomplished a lot. Even as a young man, he was actually an Olympic athlete. But then, as our country went into World War II, he found himself going through unimaginable challenges that he was able to somehow persevere through and show enormous courage. And I have to say, as I was reading it, so many times I would forget this is actually about a real person, and he actually lived through these things. So it's a very inspirational book. I told everyone around me that they had to read it, so I'm telling you too. So if you're looking for a good book, Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand is one of my top picks. Enjoy.
Hello, this is Shariko here to tell you about the book that I'm reading with the 4th grade entitled Wonder by R.J. Palacio. We are really enjoying this book, and we can't wait each day to get our chance to read a little more. What I love about the book is the way the author writes about a scene from the different characters' perspectives. The book starts out telling the story from the point of view of Augie, the main character. Augie has a great sense of humor, and so these first chapters are very funny. And then the author tells the same scene from the story, but from the perspective of some of the other characters. And I love the way we get to see that while each character is taking part in the same event, the way that they see what is happening is very different. Speaking of differences, that's one of the main ideas of the story. Accepting people's differences and seeing that people are basically the same, despite those differences, makes the story such an endearing one. I heartily recommend this book. And it's one of those books that we want to keep on reading to see what happens, but we don't want it to end. Take care.
Hi, everyone. For Read Across America Week, I thought you'd like to know what I, the math teacher, like to read. I really enjoy historical fiction books, and I read a lot of them in the summers. Anything from a period of time, like maybe World War II, or about a particular person, maybe like Abraham Lincoln, or just in general, anything about history, something that happened in the past. What I really enjoyed this past summer was a book called The 10th Muse, which is mostly fiction, but was a book about what it was like to be a female mathematician in the 1950s, the struggles that women have had being recognized as having the same or better math abilities as their male counterparts. It was a very interesting book for me, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, every summer I try to read lots of books having to do with something or someone with regard to history. But what I'm really excited now this year to read is for my birthday. My family got me the whole series of Mary Poppins books. This is one of our favorite films, Disney films in my house, and we recently watched them over Christmas break. And I had mentioned that I really would love to read the books that the movie was written on. So my husband and my kids got me this whole set. So I'm very excited to read the original Mary Poppins books that the movies were based on. So that is what I like to read, and I hope you all continue to read and find something that makes you happy.
Hi, boys and girls. So my favorite book is Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. And I love this book because it has such a powerful and beautiful message. Sometimes in life, we might try something and we might fail and we become upset, but it's always, always important to keep on trying your very best because you will succeed. So if you read this book, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
Hey, NetCong family. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mrs. Vitito, and I teach in the middle school. I want to share one of my favorite books with you. I have lots of favorite books, so this is just one of them, but I think it's a great book, especially if you're a middle schooler. So this book is called The Giver by Lois Lowry, and I'm just going to read the back of it for you, and then I'll tell you why I love this book so much. Intelligence, integrity, courage, wisdom. These are the qualities of a receiver of memory. And one more which can only be named but not described, the capacity to see beyond. Jonas lives safely within the community, a place where there is no war, no hunger, and no pain. But when he is selected as the receiver of memory, he starts to discover dark secrets that lie beneath the surface of this perfect world, secrets that will lead him to undertake an incredible journey. So the reason why I love this book so much is because the main character is a 12-year-old boy named Jonas, and he lives in a community that has really strange rules, and they don't have a lot of freedom, which is very different from where we live and what we experience. And as I was reading this book, I just became so curious about why they had these rules and what Jonas was going to discover and why they needed him to be the receiver of memory. And as these questions began to get answered, I just wanted more and more and more answers. I became more and more curious. And then when I finally got answers to the big questions, I was blown away. So this book is really appropriate for, I would say, 7th or 8th grade. It does have some dark themes in it, which I know some of my 7th graders will like that kind of thing. So I think you would find it really interesting. And it's so good that once you read it, you're going to want to read the other books in this series. There are 4 of them. So thanks for listening and happy reading.
Hi everybody, I'm Mr. Decline. In case you don't know me, I teach 1st grade. My favorite books to read have always been children's books. I've always enjoyed the stories that the children's books tell, and my mom and dad spent a lot of time reading to me when I was growing up. I liked using the illustrations and the stories as well to help me with my imagination along the way. One of my favorite children's books is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I always enjoyed watching this cartoon on TV when I was growing up around Christmas time, and the book really helped that story come to life.
Hi there, I'm Mr. Salerno. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm the middle school social studies teacher here at our school. And because I'm a history teacher, I spent a lot of my time reading biography and nonfiction. But when I was in middle school, I really wasn't a reader. I wasn't very passionate about reading. I spent a lot of my time doing other things, other activities. And it wasn't until I was in high school when I really read a book that connected with me. That book was Wuthering Heights. This is my copy of it. This is my original copy that I annotated when I was a junior in high school. And it's a very strange book to have connected with me in the way it did. This is a story about a very strange, creepy family living in this creepy old mansion up in Britain. And there's a ghost. It's about 2 people who fall in love but are not right for each other. The main character, Heathcliff, is not a hero. He's an anti-hero. He's a very selfish, self-absorbed person, and him and the other main character, Kathy, make a ton of bad decisions that ruins basically everybody's lives. Spoiler alert, at the end of the book, Heathcliff dies. So it's a very strange book, but it was kind of a mystery and kind of a ghost story and very gothic, and written in the 1800s. So it just really resonated with me. And from then on, I really enjoyed reading and reading classics.
Hello, it's Mrs. Sarnella. My favorite book is the entire series of Harry Potter. I've read them all more than once, watched the movies. I enjoy it. I think it's magical and fun.
Hi everyone, my name is Miss Costello and I teach 5th grade language arts and social studies. My favorite book is this book called Home of the Brave. It's about a boy named Keck who's a 5th grader and he's a refugee from Africa. We really liked this book because it was funny, it was heartwarming, and it's full of hope. Always remember, you have to have hope to get you through hard times.
Hi NetCon community. I was asked to pick a favorite book for this week for Read Across America. And I don't really have one favorite book. I thought that would be too difficult to just pick one. So I thought most of my favorite books are shared with reading time with my daughter Charlotte. We love, in her favorite book, we love to read together The Very Hungry Caterpillar, because you all know I teach kindergarten and one of my favorite authors is Eric Carle, and Charlotte loves this book a lot, so we read it together a lot. So basically any book that I'm spending time with and sharing with my daughter or my son is one of my favorite books. We're also getting ready to read some of our St. Patrick's Day stories that next month we have St. Patrick's Day we're going to celebrate. So we have There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Clover, and this one, How to Trap a Leprechaun. So take this week, enjoy reading lots of different stories, and have a lot of fun. Happy reading!
Hey boys and girls, it's Mr. Sandra here sharing with you my favorite book. And here it is. What is the What by Dave Eggers, telling the story of Valentino Achak Deng, a lost boy of the Sudan, surviving his childhood in a civil war by himself with lots of other kids, coming to America and becoming a really solid human being. It's a good book. It's a loved book, as you can see. It's been read more than once by more than one person. Good book.
Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Sonati. I teach 4th grade for those of you who don't know me. And my pick for the best book ever would be Wonder by R.J. Palacio. It's a wonderful book. I love the characters, I love the story, and it has a great message. So please check it out. Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Best book ever. Happy reading.
Hello everyone, it's Mrs. Walsh and I'm happy to be participating in the book talks this week for Read Across America. So one of my favorite books is a book called Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. It is nonfiction. It is the story of how Mitch Albom reconnected with his professor, Maury Schwartz, when Maury was at the end of his life. And Maury gives Mitch a lot of advice on how to live a very positive and kind life and fulfilling life. And the book just talks about the Tuesdays that they spend together until Maury passes away. But it is a lovely book and it is one of my favorites, and I encourage you to read it someday. Thank you.
Hi, NetCon family. Mrs. O'Hagan here. Welcome to Read Across America. I chose for one of my favorite books from Dr. Seuss, Sneetches. The story of Sneetches is about two groups that constantly compete to prove which group is better than the other. They go through all kinds of extremes just to prove who's on top. And at the end of it all, they figure out that they have a lot more in common than they thought. And Dr. Seuss always puts a moral to his stories, and this particular story, the moral is be proud of who you are and be true to you. I really like that. And a special side note to the 8th grade class this year. Many of you were my 1st and 2nd graders many, many moons ago. This story says it. Be proud of yourself. I'm very proud of you.
Hi everyone, happy Read Across America week. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Miss V and I teach 3rd grade here at NetCong. but I taught kindergarten here for a while, and that's where I really discovered one of my favorite children's authors, who just so happens to be Mo Willems. For those of you who don't know who Mo Willems is, he writes the famous, lovable, hysterical pigeon stories. He writes the Knuffle Bunny series, and he also writes my personal favorite characters, the Elephant and Piggy series of stories. So one of my favorite Elephant and Piggy books is called My Friend is Sad. Mo Willems has this style of writing where he kind of lies his morals and his messages through his two characters, sometimes three, sometimes four. He has you really act and read as if you are those characters, using speech bubbles, big text to read loudly, small text to read quietly. And while he's not an author of many words on a page, he gets his message across with just few words. If you had me as your kindergarten teacher, chances are we spent a lot of time reading Elephant and Piggy books because I just love the messages and how relatable they are. And I love his themes of friendship and how to be inclusive with one another and just being patient with one another. So if you're ever looking for a new story to read, Mo Willems has some really, really great ones. I hope you all enjoy your Read Across America week.
Hi everyone, it's Miss Santorelli. My favorite book is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. This story touches my heart as it teaches us what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes and how to treat everybody with kindness no matter what you look on the outside. Just like all of my students, I can relate to Augie, the main character, and I am so excited to read it with my students. Happy reading!
That was so exciting. My favorite book is Dr. Seuss' Green Eggs and Ham. What do you like to read about?
I like to read about the spring break from the Black Lagoon. Stay tuned to find out about the other spirit days. Remember, Friday is Character Day, so join in on the fun and dress up. Now let's get to our birthdays for this week. Happy birthday to John Dorenzo Parks, Guadalupe Rivero Monzon.
And happy birthday to one of our second grade teachers, Miss Garcia.
Now for the recipe of the week. This week's recipe is blueberry pancakes. Be sure to try it at home and submit your photos to Miss Anastasia and Miss Newcomer to be featured in next week's broadcast.
Riddle of the week. Congratulations to Lucia Garbetta for getting the answer to our last riddle correct. The riddle was, Kate's mother has 3 children, Snap, Crackle, and the answer was Kate. This week's riddle is, I can be the book one can never finish reading. What am I?
Submit your answer on the Google form as soon as you're finished watching for a chance to win and get a shout out on next week's video. Thanks for watching.
Make sure to tune in next week's of
NNN Netcon News Network.
Now let's get back to reading.